H.ate is a powerful force, one that has shaped history, broken communities, and rewriting destinies. Today, we are discussing the impact of white hate on the black community, how it has manifested over time, and how it continues to affect us today. First, let's watch these clips, and I will share my thought later. Watch and pay attention.
Okay, quick story that has me literally shaking right now. So for context, I drive trucks and I stop at this Denny's to grab a coffee because I'm addicted to caffeine. I went in there to get my coffee to go and then I walked to the bathroom, but as I'm walking to the bathroom, it's this old guy sitting to the left with about 12 people that's celebrating his 89th birthday. I got a call from my dispatcher and he was like, yo, you can chill, no rush, they're not ready for the freight, so you can relax a little bit. Sat down, ordered some food, so now I'm sitting like across from the guy that's celebrating his birthday. Time goes by, I'm down there at the end of my meal and everybody that basically came to celebrate with him had left, so now it's just him and his wife. So as I get up to go wash my hands, I see him and I give him a smile. I'm like, happy birthday, young man, 89. That's a lot of memory to have. Here's the thing, I don't even know why I said that. He could have had Alzheimer's. I'm not even sure what I meant by that, like, but that's what I said. And he said, well, thank you, young man. And he smiled and he kind of just stared at me and I just walked back there and washed my fucking hands. So I come back and his wife is gone. She's talking to some other lady that goes to the same church they do. And he sees me, he says, come here, come here, come here. And I said, yes. And he said, there are way too many things that I wish I could forget. And I said, yeah, man, you make it to damn near 100 years old. I'm pretty sure you got a handful of regrets. And he looked at me with the most serious look ever and said, you have no idea. Well, now I'm curious. Do tell. He said, you know, I used to be a firefighter through the 60s and 70s. I said, that's what's up. That's a very commendable job. And he said, yeah, it should be. He said the 60s and 70s was a different time in every way possible. You know that, right? And I'm just like, yeah, no shit. He said, back in those times, I was a way different man, and who knew that we'd get to the point where we are in society today and I'd be feeling the way I'm feeling about the decisions that I made back in those times. So I'm like, man, if you won't fucking tell me, bro. So right before he took a very long pause, he looked at me and said, back in those times, it was very common for firefighters that looked like me to leave people that looked like you in burning houses and buildings and horrible situations just to say they couldn't get to us. He said more times than he'd like to admit, he would hear screaming black people and children in burning buildings and houses and apartments and stores and cars, and he would literally just pretend he didn't hear it. He said his last time doing it was when he made eye contact with the baby that he deliberately went into a building to save and deliberately didn't. And he said that was the last time he did it, and he quit that year. He said the nightmare still hasn't stopped. He still hasn't forgiven himself, and therapy helps, but it's still a living nightmare to have those memories. And I guess that shit just shocked me so much because when it came to firefighters, I never thought of them like that. Like when it came to like police officers, lawyers, and judges, and everybody else, we knew they didn't give a fuck, especially police officers. We knew they didn't give a fuck about us. But I don't know why that didn't click to me that, no, it was everybody that hated us. Everybody had a hand in deliberately making our lives worse. When I calmed down from being mad enough to want to pull the plug on his ass, I thought about it, and I was like, of course they did this. Of course they did this shit. Duh. Like, why was I even shocked? Like, of course. But it is something that I cannot think about for too long, because that visual of you fake going to save somebody and not saving them because of the color of their skin and the entire 911 understanding, because, oh yeah, you couldn't get Jamal, oh well, just another one gone. Like, that shit.
Good morning, y'all. This morning I'm very much bothered, and I think by the end of this video, y'all gonna be bothered too. Last night, I watched a TikTok, and there was this young man, and he said he went into a restaurant, and there was an older white man celebrating his birthday with his family, 96 or something like that. And he said that, you know, he congratulated him, happy birthday and all that, and then the white man started to talk to him. And he said there's so many things in his life he regrets. And he began to tell him about how he was a firefighter. when he was working. And he said that back in the 60s and 70s, times were different. And he said it was very common practice, him included, he admitted to this, that they would be burning buildings, burning cars, or burning structures where black people were in there, and they would pretend like they didn't hear their screams and not save them. On purpose. And he said, the last time that he did it, he went into a building to go get a baby, a black baby. And he went in, he heard the baby screaming and crying, and he just stood there. And came out and said, I couldn't save him. And the young man said, for a second, I wanted to pull the plug on his old behind, right? But then he came back and said, wait, of course they did. Of course they did. And it wasn't just him. This was the whole police department for years and years and years. Not just him, but everybody else in the fire department. They all hate us. It don't matter what field they're in. He was like, I knew police, people at the job, in every other area and sector and in the hospitals. He's like, but you would never think that another human being would let another human being burn to death, hear their screams and just stand there and let them die. But them people that's racist against us, God's children, the people that hate us, that have malice in their hearts, that have literally spilled our innocent blood on the ground, have partaken in that, have benefited from it, and have not repented of it, and still do it to this day, they're going to pay for that as a whole, as a race, their forefathers, what they've done, they're going to pay for it. But I know that we as black people are very tired. We are tired. Those that have spilled our blood, innocent blood, they are marked as well. It's not too much longer now, y'all, and we may never see it in this generation. We may never see it. My generation, even my kid, we don't know. So do not think or believe that all these people that you see walking and running around, riding their bikes, jogging without a care in the world, money, all of that was built on our blood and our bodies. It will be destroyed, and it will be repaid to us. But that's enough of my rant, y'all. We're tired.
For centuries, systemic racism and white-hate have shaped the black experiences in America and beyond, from the horrors of slavery to Jim Crow, redlining, and mass incarceration. These policies were not just about discrimination, they were about maintaining control. Economic power is key to freedom, but white-hate has historically disrupted black financial progress. Take Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a thriving black community destroyed in 1921 by racial violence. This was not an isolated incident. Across the US, successful black communities face destruction, systemic exclusion, and financial sabotage. Today, the remnants of this economic sabotage continue. Black communities still struggle with underfunded schools, lower home ownership rates, and limited access to capital. The racial wealth gap is not an accident, it is a design. From the crack epidemic of the 1980s to today's police brutality, white-hate has criminalized black people at every turn. The war on drugs disproportionately targets black men, leading to mass incarceration and broken families. Meanwhile, the opioid crisis affects mostly white communities, was treated as a health issue, not a crime. When a system is built to see you as a threat, justice is rarely served. From the minstrel show of the past to modern media, black people have been portrayed as threats, criminals, and hypersexualized figures. This is not just entertainment, it is psychological warfare. It shapes how society treats us, how employers view us, and even how we see ourselves. Even today, we see how dangerous these stereotypes can be. A simple phone call from a white woman can lead to a black man being arrested or worse, killed. But here's the truth. Black people have always resisted. From the civil rights movement to today's black-owned business resonance, we are reclaiming our power. Organizations are fighting for prison reform, reparations, and education equity. The fight is not over, but we are not powerless. White-hate has done everything in its power to destroy black progress, but it has failed. the black community continues to rise, innovate, and lead. The question is, how will you contribute to the fight for justice? Drop your thoughts in the comment box below. Until next time, cheers and have a good one.